It was a sweltering July afternoon. I had taken the day off to catch up on some overdue home repairs and was teaching my kids a new video game when the doorbell rang. Standing on my porch was a man about my age, had a keen, steady gaze, and was dressed simply but neatly. "I'm Mark," he said with a polite nod. "Our mutual friend, Mike, mentioned you might have a room for rent." I suddenly remembered telling my coworker I needed a tenant, someone quiet and reliable, because my salary just wasn't stretching far enough anymore. Mark needed a place for 6 months, while his family's new home was being finished. We agreed on a modest monthly rent, though I secretly worried it was too low. When I told my wife Sarah, she was furious. She pointed out that the rent barely covered our kids' extracurricular fees. I stayed quiet, cursing my luck and our mounting debts. The next day, Mark, his wife, and their 3 children moved into the small upstairs unit. They were incredibly polite, and their home always seemed filled with a quiet joy. A few weeks later, I came home from work to find my children sitting in the garden with Mark's wife. Sarah told me she had asked her to lead our kids in a Bible study. "She has such a beautiful way of explaining the scriptures," Sarah said. "And you should hear her children pray it. Es like Sayri, talking to an old friend." Soon, the atmosphere in our house began to shift in ways I couldn't explain. One evening, I asked Sarah if she wanted me to drive her to the salon she used to go twice a month for expensive treatments. She smiled and shook her head. "I've realized those things are just distractions," she said. "There's a glow that comes from prayer and inner peace that a salon can provide. I'd rather spend that time money differently." One night, I was mindlessly scrolling through television channels when my youngest son walked over and turned off the TV. "Dad," I sighed softly, "Mark told us a story today about how Jesus walked with his disciples during a storm. Can I tell it to you?" I wanted to be annoyed, but as I listened to my son speak about faith and courage, my heart felt full for the first time in years. I realized my family was changing. We weren't just surviving. We were finding a purpose. Sarah stopped asking for expensive shopping trips, and she even handed me a stack of cash she had saved from our grocery budget to pay off the final installment on our refrigerator. "When you put God first," she told me, "the blessings seem to multiply on their own." A sense of peace settled deep within me. The arguments stopped. The constant complaints about what we lacked were replaced by gratitude for what we had. I realized that the true path to a happy life was unfound in a higher salary or a bigger house. I used to think that the small rent Mark paid wasn't enough. But looking at my peaceful home today, I realize his family brought something far more valuable than money. They brought us back to our faith. Sometimes we think we are looking for a tenant to help pay the bills, when what we really need is someone to show us how to truly live.